And we're here with Brett Kirby, Director of Business Development for Data Centers at PowerIntel. And Brett, welcome to the segment.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. I want to talk about some of the issues that you guys discussed in TIA's data center workshop, which just wrapped up, by the way. There was some talk about why still the sharp growth in hyperscale data center construction, but also really the discussion about the challenges in supporting that growth, right? Before we get to that, I want to start with PowerIntel and their move into the data center market, or space, if you will. 65% of data centers are hyperscale data centers, but the other 35% are the much smaller data centers. How does that kind of tie back to what you guys do at PowerIntel?
Right, so it's probably more accurate to say that 65% of the spending on data centers is by hyperscale, by a small quantity of data center providers. The other 35% is a much larger volume of data centers, just that don't have as big of a spend, as big as budgets. They aren't as large, and they serve a different client base. At Power and Telephone Supply, we've traditionally, for 50-some years at this point, we've served the smaller, more rural telephone companies, cable TV providers, that sort of client. And part of our goal is to make sure that we're sharing the technology and the knowledge with them in the same way that a lot of the bigger vendors are sharing it with the hyperscale clients.
So how do the smaller data centers impact last mile connectivity?
So, we spent a lot of time talking about hyperscale. You guys certainly have had a variety of opportunities to talk about Internet of Things. The machine-to-machine transactions in the data center world are growing exponentially, driven by a variety of things: Internet of Things, social media, and Mark Thiel in one of his blogs said that he thinks we're going to need somewhere around 400 million servers to take care of all those connections between now and 2020. There's some question whether we could even fit all that in the existing or even available real estate in high density data center locations, and some question whether we even should. The users of that type of traffic pick something, automated vehicles, a variety of Internet of Things, right down to video content, Netflix, whatever. There's some argument that says that belongs on the edge, and certainly companies like, pick somebody, Emerson Network Power, they've made a large bet saying that we think that smaller data centers, micro data centers, closer to the edge are going to be the play. And we believe at PowerIntel that our clients are very well suited to take advantage of that opportunity.
So, Brett, you're saying that the continual, really sharp increase in hyperscale data center construction is really due to, or the primary driver is machine-to-machine or the Internet of Things. Would you say that?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I believe that to be true.
And there's some latency and bandwidth issues, and you're talking about connectivity between a centralized location and the user. When you're talking about moving compute towards the user, with regards to data centers, how is it? Are you building additional data centers to make that happen?
You could, or you could take advantage of existing facilities that are already on the edge. Certainly there are companies like EdgeConneX that are, they're making a concerted effort to take advantage of that, moving to what they would call tier two cities. There certainly are some opportunities, I believe, to move compute to even smaller locations. At PowerIntel, like I said, we serve more rural locations, places where likely the large providers aren't going to want to come in and build last mile or build data centers. Our customers already have that last mile, already have facilities that are secure, have good critical systems, and I think there's a market to put compute and storage in those locations. And what that does, those are bandwidth providers, right? And these large companies, the content providers, certainly have to pay for bandwidth to get their material from one centralized location to the user. If they can control when that bandwidth gets used and create a more uniform distribution of bandwidth throughout the day by putting content cached at an edge facility and then only bring that additional data in maybe once a day at an off-peak time, they don't have to have as much bandwidth because they have more of a level bandwidth usage pattern.
Now, Brett, you told me that you just started with PowerIntel in December. You are a subject matter expert in data centers. You ran a data center in Michigan, where you still reside, by the way. why Power Intel moving into this space, and why make that move to hire somebody like you?
Right. So PowerIntel has some great vendor partners, a lot of great vendor partners, many of which participated in today's event that we were here to be part of. But primarily, they're focusing their sales efforts and their product development efforts on the large providers, on that 65% of revenue that we talked about. Power and Telephone Supply is making an investment and a commitment to continuing to serve the client base that we've served for 50 years. And part of that is investing in knowledge base and know-how to make sure that we're able to provide good services, good products, and provide good education and knowledge to our customers. And we do it in a variety of disciplines, not just in the data center arena, but also in wireless, and we're working on some others also.
Well, it's definitely an exciting space to be in. It's exciting for TIA to be in the data center space in the capacity that we are. So I'm sure Power Intel had every good reason to hire you. So we appreciate your time, and we appreciate your sponsorship, and appreciate you being part of the workshop.
No, it's really our pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks, Brett.
All right.